What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for May 20th, 2024. 3.23.1 is live, and man, it was surprising. With that comes the big sale. So most of the discussion is around funding, but CIG threw a wrench in that and announced 4.0 is coming sooner than I thought. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, and I keep seeing you guys stop by from here saying awesome things, and I really appreciate it, so keep that up. But I would also appreciate if you took time for today's sponsor. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring today's video. Growing up, breakfast was my favorite meal of the day, and my go-to was to eat cereal. Sugary cereal. But I am getting older, and I really need to watch my sugar intake, but it's so hard to find delicious options. Magic Spoon fits that bill. Magic Spoon fits a variety of lifestyles. It's high protein, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free, and it's naturally flavored. Magic Spoon cereal has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving, and it's 140 calories per serving as well. So if you're looking to have some childlike nostalgia all grown up, click the link below and get some Magic Spoon cereal today. You can build your very own custom box with all the flavors you love and use my code SaltEMike for $5 off. You can choose from the best-selling cocoa, fruity, which is my favorite, frosted, peanut butter, and maple waffle flavors, plus other awesome flavors including honey nut, blueberry muffin, birthday cake, cinnamon roll, and chocolate chip cookie. You can also add their delicious cereal treats to your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code and use code SaltEMike for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/SaltEMike and save $5 off your order today. Also, for my Canadian and British fans, Magic Spoon ships to Canada and the UK. Thanks as always for listening to the ad break, as it really helps keep the quality bar here a lot higher than it has ever been, right? So I can't do it without your support. But with that said, we've got some patches to talk about. And we start off right away with a Monday PTU, and the changes to medical beds are the only feature change of the patch, and it came with some controversy. You can now respawn in any medical bed, a reverted change from some time ago. Xylo had to chime in and give more context to the situation, and the main takeaways from his post are that they already have a lot more to show for us, but it kind of feels like they're saving it for CitizenCon already. They felt like Tier 3 beds weren't that useful, and they wanted to get it right. CIG also loves to use the word prepared when there's a ship sale. They say it a lot, but right around time for a new, unique situation, they talk about it, right? And I also think earning something in games that improves your situation is fun game design. But for now, there's so much risk kind of being taken away from the design of the game that it seems a little less risky and a little less fun, but we'll see. I also think it was so painful before, but at the same time, medical beacons are not being used, so we'll see. It also brought the new MPUV tractor version, which just doesn't seem to fit. More on that when we get to the live patch. Tuesday PTU, another seemingly small patch, but they apparently are smoothing out the difficulty of the levels of kind of NPC ship enemies based on their ability to use aim assist. The plan was to smooth out the experience for lower end missions versus high end missions. My experience was not great. I got the typical unresponsive AI experience, but maybe on a good server, you can kind of see this one, but I just was never able to see it. They also put some fixes in for the event so players can test the expo halls. And then we get to Thursday.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
There were a few hot fixes between Tuesday and Thursday night, and they were kind of happy to push 3.23 live on Thursday, and the patch notes are in the description for more detail, but we're just going to jump into what the patch is about. 3.23.1 is here specifically for Invictus launch week and a free fly. But before we get into that, I just want to say the team did a really good job at keeping the server somewhat stable. I have yet to have a single server recovery experience, and it doesn't resemble a 3.18 launch whatsoever, and we were really nervous that it would. It has its issues, Trust me, it has its issues, but it doesn't feel as bad as most of us expected it. For the event, it's a sale. There isn't a whole lot to get into. Friday morning brought the first day of the event, which had 3 highlight vehicles to start out with a bang. Naturally, the Polaris stole the show because of its size, but the Ursa Medevac vehicle was one of the more requested variants that we've seen. The drama we mentioned earlier was stoked even more by the marketing team. This video was actually awful. They are not changing the death of a spaceman mechanic as outlined in this Q&A post, but they did not stop from pretending that Star Citizen would have endless respawns with 0 punishments. If my comments in the past about these kind of people running the show unchecked weren't believable before, what do you think now, right? The Argo tractor vehicle is weird. It's more expensive than the old variants, but has less going on with it. It doesn't make any sense. It can hold 16 SU compared to the non-functional Argo cargo, but yeah, it's a weird situation. I don't think tractor beams should be that much more valuable. I think they should be on all the vehicles. There are a number of ships for rent as well, from Origin, Consolidated Outland, and even more from RSI and Argo. Then Sunday brings a bit of a nothing sale, but plenty of ships to rent. The manufacturers on display are Crusader Industries, Tumbril, Mirai, and Misk. Nothing new in terms of ships outside the Pulse, and there's a new skin or two there as well. That's all we really have for the patch. Again, this is sale time. The good stuff's going to be coming hopefully in the .2 patch with things like the cargo and hangar changes, right? But for now, if you're interested in trying some new ships or buying some ships, now's your time. But let's get into roadmap updates because that's my time. So this is exciting and also surprising. I would have not guessed that 4.0 would end up being the next planned patch, but I'm happy to hear it is. So let's get into what's in it. We have to start out with the tech. Server meshing is the big one. This brings the ability to add more players in a server and jump to other systems. And the mission system and transit system refactors are simply to ensure that these systems work with meshing. I hope missions also get an overhaul and make sense in a world with more players per server. Remember, they were testing up to 800 players in a server, like 600, something like that. 6 times what we have now. The current missions can't handle that. But for an initial 4.0 patch, let's just get the tech stable. I'm cool with that, right? But in the future, .1s or, at 4.1, something like that, like to see some changes. Naturally, Pyro's in the next system, and they give a small description for each planet and moon in the game. There's 6 planets and 6 moons around only the 5th planet, I think. The stations are synonymous to the cities in Stanton as well in terms of their commerce and importance, but they only got a short mention here. Then they mention the outposts, which are fairly similar to what we have in Stanton now. If you did the Pyro playtest, you saw what they were like. Little ground vehicles at them, players, but we have that in Stanton, so it's kind of nothing crazy. And the solar burst, which is a unique bit of flair, yes, pun intended, to the system, making it actually feel dangerous. Engineering is also planned to be in this patch, and it comes with an unannounced until this roadmap update feature. We knew about life support, but we didn't know about charge and drain. This is a really cool thing that allows players to counter distortion gameplay as well as kind of create it themselves. They also appear to be swapping the current multi-tool with maybe the somewhat the functionality of the one that we had in Squadron 42 that has 3 attachments in one. Some people think it's the UI that's just going to change. I like the old multi-tool, but we'll see. The fire gameplay from CitizenCon is also part of this, and that is a lot of work that needs to happen from now until 4.0 to get the engineering mode working. If there's anything that falls off, I think it's going to be this. I hope not. It's the thing I'm looking most forward to, but that's a lot because all this stuff has to be on all of the ships. The last stuff for 4.0 is the MFD from CitizenCon, and they give kind of players a better view and customization, as well as more useful information on your MFDs, right? Along with the Quasi-Grazer or Space Cow, along with more player customizations like face piercings, more hair, more faces, things like that. And then lastly, only one ship is listed, the Zeus Mk2ES, but I imagine there will be more that we don't know about. And then for 323, they simply added the Pulse, Retaliator stuff that we already learned about from last update. With that, let's get into video updates. All right, and we had 2 videos this week, and we'll start out with Inside Star Citizen titled Firebird is the Word. This was your typical episode where they're just trying to sell you on ships. There isn't a whole lot to take away from this one, but I do have a few things, and we have a new ship, and they explain what it is.
So at this Invictus, we're happy to announce that there is a new sibling to the Raven, and it's called the Sabre Firebird. So the Sabre Firebird is a missile-based fighter, much like some of our other ships like the Talon. It trades pure gun power for missile firepower. It is based on the Raven chassis, but it has quite a few little visual tweaks that when you put them side by side, you'll notice that it is a completely different art style. And its main firepower is from its belly-mounted bespoke missile launcher, which holds 12 size 3 missiles.
I gotta say, a missile boat would have been my last guess for what the ship would have been. I think it will sell because it looks cool, but missiles are basically only ever effective when countermeasures are bugged. And this has been for the entire history of the game. I feel like we should be cleaning up the feature before continuing to pretend that it has some sort of value to the player. And speaking of that, in this case, they had to do exactly that.
As you kind of go to the underside of the ship, that's where the big functionality change comes. So now in the belly of the ship, we've got a big missile rack, so it all opens up and then we can launch the missiles out from underneath the Firebird.
Compared to a lot of our other ships that have missile racks just bolted under the wings, or bespoke ones mounted into the hull that are sort of firing forwards, this is canted at a downwards angle, so you get a really nice visual when they fire down and curve up. And also we've adjusted the missile controller on it, so rather than being restricted to a set amount, it can fire up to a complete row at a time. So you get to see a huge volley of row by row come out.
So the only way to make the ship make any sense to the target audience was to allow it to do something that no other ship can do, and that is fire more than 4 missiles at a time. I could be wrong on that. Another ship might do it that I'm not aware of, like maybe the Storm or something, but I can't remember personally. Leave a comment down below and let me know. And then the second part of the show touched on the RSI Ursa Medevac, and we kind of talked a ton about it already, so you get the gist on that one. A little bit controversial, but we'll see what comes with future gameplay around it, right? So we'll see. But then Star Citizen Live, question and answer, Invictus, all vehicles. Most of the show was not a question and answer section, but to be fair, Jared did try to sneak in a few questions at the beginning, but we largely didn't get to them until the last 10 minutes of the video. So we'll start out with the biggest one.
We're talking about full flight ready.
Yep.
Released to the backers.
Yep.
They can fly it and use it this year.
Yes.
When?
Which one of the camera? I'm going to recreate what we'd filmed for ISE that's now redundant.
That one. You're looking at
This one.
That one.
So the Polaris is going to be flight ready, fully released at IE this year.
So IE this year, not 4.0,
Not 4.0,
but
IE.
whatever the patch
Whatever,
number
yeah.
for Invictus is.
Yeah.
And you're ready to go on record for that.
I think
What
I
happens
just
if
did.
you don't make it?
It will come out at IE.
All right, so the Polaris will be released at IAE. Cool, I guess. I'm so far not a fan, but I might be next week. More on that in a moment. Next up, they give us a full list of what's being worked on right now.
The Polaris,
Yep.
two of the Zeuses, the
Yes, and the CL.
the one start with the L, not the Liberator, the
Legionnaire.
Legionnaire.
Yeah.
Saber variant.
Some variants that you don't know about, and some new ships you don't know. But as far as the ships that you know about and stuff, those are the ones in active development. Everything else has no update to provide for you right now. That's just me being real with you, and being honest with you, and hoping you'll appreciate it.
All right, cool. So the big surprise there is an additional Saber variant, and most players seem to think that it'll be an interdiction version, and John hints that it might be correct, so we'll see. And yeah, then Jared leaks something.
Come back next week. Next week's ISC is part 2 of the Invictus. We're revealing a brand new concept vehicle that's coming up at Drake Defense Con. I think I can. I already said it, so it doesn't really matter whether I could say it or not.
It's spoiled now, Jared.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's really cool though. Like, I'm absolutely in love with it. I was just talking to Gav about it all weekend at Beacon about it. And then, of course, we will take that inside look.
Hopefully not too loudly.
What?
talking together all weekend at Beacon about it. Hopefully it wasn't too loud a conversation.
No.
Okay.
And then, of course,
Megaphones.
we'll take a look at the current inside gray box progress of the players that you'll see flying around at this year's event.
So we're getting a Drake vehicle. I don't think we need another ground vehicle. And if Jared likes it, it's probably pretty out there. I also love ship interiors, and that's what sells me on ships. So if what they show in the players next week is cool, I'll likely change my tune on it. And with that, let's go into other updates. All right, and we, as always, start out with a sneak peek, and it's a sneak peek as we've seen quite a bit of this before, whether it was at CitizenCon or in other sneaks, right? But this appears to not be concept art, which is what we have seen in the past. This appears to be in the game, and it does create a bit of conversation around, hey, what do you think? Is this going to be in the Hangar Update patch in 3.23? Is that what they're sneaking, or will it come later? But the different types of cargo are just a must at this point to add depth needed for the loop. And it'll be welcomed when it gets here, right? And I can't wait. But next up is the lore, and the lore post is a repost about the Hercules. It's old, it's a repost, but if you're into that stuff, check out the link in the description. And that's all we got for this week. One thing I want to start doing a little bit more, it's hard because there's so many of them now, is the dev posts and stuff, and add more context to them. I don't know if I want to leave them in the other updates section or fiddle them in based on the other discussions that we have. It's the thing I've been lacking in the last few weeks in review, and I'm going to be adding them in. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think about that. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit a like on it. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can become a member. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. It's been a crazy week. I can't believe I'm enjoying 3.23 a little bit. I actually am, and I was expecting to be playing other games. The stability is exciting, but I stick by my guns around 4.0. I hope they stick to the tech. Not too many features in that one like they kind of tried to do here in 3.23, and it caused a lot of issues. Hopefully they learned some lessons there. 4.0 is going to be unstable, throughout the PTU process at a minimum. So let's get that stabilized, and then let's build a game. Right? So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think on all that, but caught me off guard this week, that's for sure. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next week.